The subtitle is How America Will Overcome Its Fear and Hatred of Gays in the Decade of the 90s. It was published in 1989 by two Harvard professors, Kirk and Madsen, one a professor of psychology, another a professor of marketing. And if you get your hands on the book, it's really hard to get your hands on the book now, but if you get your hands on the book or the articles, they did a journal article in '88 before the book came out in '89. If you were to read it today, it would read like history. It would read like somebody outlining the way the homosexual movement changed the thinking of American culture and more broadly of the West in the decade of the 90s. Their goal, if you are old enough to remember, 1989, right? That's the height of HIV. That's the height of people contracting and dying from HIV. And here was their idea. If we can take advantage of this moment, we can change the way people think about us. AIDS is a crisis, but again, they're familiar with rules for radicals, right? Don't waste a crisis, and they didn't waste the crisis. They took that crisis as an opportunity for them to present themselves as sympathetic. And their entire strategy was based on propaganda. This is not me, this is them in the book. They say our entire strategy is based on propaganda and using 3 steps that are the same steps used in brainwashing. Those 3 steps are desensitizing, jamming, and conversion. So step 1 is to desensitize. So in the late 80s and early 90s, what we need to do is we need to get images in front of people as often as we can of homosexuals and homosexuality. It'd be great if we could have some TV shows, maybe even some sitcoms, where there were characters who were gay, but they were the wittiest, funniest, best dressed, right? They were the main, they were the main support character. That'd be great if we could do that. And it'd be great if we could do that increasingly over time so that the people who initially saw this and were offended by it would eventually get desensitized to it. That's step 1.
I've convinced half of the world to not only accept sin, but to celebrate it. Do you know what has been my most enjoyable pride campaign to date?
No, what?
Well, my gay pride campaign, of course. Not only do I get the chance to promote your own self-destruction, I get to use God's logo, the rainbow, to do it. Love is love, right? My plan not only prevents you worthless humans from reproducing, it distorts the gender roles and allows me to bring all types of chaos and confusion upon your pathetic societies. This has been so successful, I've got men convinced they're women, and women convinced they're men, and some convinced they're no gender at all. And I've got 2 more Pride Initiative campaigns I'd like to introduce in the near future.
Really? I'm guessing you probably want me to ask you what they are, right?
Well, first, it's abortion pride. Now, I think we can pull this off. Society is definitely ready for it. I've enlisted to help a Planned Parenthood to work with marketing and promotions. And all we'll have to do is silence the so-called abolitionists and pro-lifers, because the rest of the church doesn't seem to care. And second is pedophilia pride. Now, society might not be ready for this one just yet, so we'll hold off. I need to desensitize them a little more before we introduce it.
Okay.
Step 2 is jamming. What is jamming? Well, what jamming does is it takes an idea that you're comfortable with and juxtaposes it with an idea that you're not comfortable with so that you become less comfortable. For example, if we equate being opposed to homosexuality with being a skinhead or a Nazi, right? If we use phrases like gay bashing and, so on and so forth. If we do that, then we basically, it's jamming. you're not as comfortable being opposed as you were before. And that's the whole idea. By the way, if you want to know if jamming works, all you need to do is go find some sermons on homosexuality. They start like no other sermon on any other sin in the world. Can you imagine someone doing a sermon on adultery and starting off by saying, listen, I love adulterers. God loves adulterers. I am not here today to bash adulterers. Some of my best friends are adulterers. And I love them. And if you're an adulterer here today, I want you to know that despite anything I say, I love you, God loves you. I'm not here to condemn you. I'm not here to judge. Can you imagine? But every sermon on homosexuality in the last 20, 30 years starts just like that. Why? Because we've been jammed. We no longer feel comfortable taking God's position on this particular issue. And so the whole love is love mantra is a jamming tool, right? So wait a minute, you're a Christian, right? So as a Christian, you're supposed to be all about love, right? God is love, right? That's the hallmark, right? That you guys are all about love. Well, here these two people just love each other. How can you be opposed to love? Because after all together now, love is love. And because we've been successfully jammed for decades, we just kind of go, something in me wants to be opposed to that, but I feel like I'm not supposed to be opposed to that. Even though I know that I am supposed to be opposed to, whatever. Love is love. It's jamming. And eventually that leads to conversion. Conversion is not about turning straight people into gay people. That's not what conversion is about, right? That's called grooming. No, conversion in the Kirk and Mattson strategy is about turning people into allies. Turning people into allies. Getting people on their side.